Hi, I'm Lisa Burling and I'm so delighted to be sitting here with one of the best business brains in Australia, Mr. Tomisich, who is the CEO and founder of Trajan Scientific and Medical. Welcome, Stephen, to the LBPR couch.
Well, thanks, Lisa. Best business brains. I don't think I've ever been described that way before, but no, thank you. That's great.
Probably the best place to start, because I know you very well and I'm fortunate that we've developed a fantastic business partnership together. But I'd like you to talk a little bit about Trajan Scientific and Medical, what the company is and what you do. Right,
okay. So Trajan started 5 years ago, and I think the reason it really started was that you can have in your life ideas about things that you want to do and potential that you think has been unrealised. But unless you actually get to the point in your life where you decide, you know what, I'm going to do something about it, it never actually happens. And so that was really where Trajan started, but it started with the notion that we could explore areas of science that could directly impact on people. And so what we've done over the last 5 years, since the invention or the start of Trajan, if you like, is that we've really collected a range of businesses that are in both the scientific and medical area, where we're really focused on how do we design and make products that are going to have impact, that are going to have a good outcome for patients or the environment or food safety, but all the things that have an everyday relevance to people and our well-being.
Can you talk a little bit about how Trajan started, the name of the company, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, so when we decided that we were going to do something, whatever that something might be, our daughter was with us, and our daughter was very interested in Roman history, and so she said, you'll need a brand, you'll need a name. And she started flipping through some of her Roman history books, and we thought, well, you know, Caesar Scientific doesn't really sound very attractive, and she got to Trajan, and then we started to read a bit about Trajan, and the things that we liked was, first of all, that he was the emperor of Rome when Rome was at its peak. So he was the 13th emperor of Rome, and he has a legacy or a history of being one of the emperors of excellence who did some social good, but also importantly that he was a builder of infrastructure. And so I thought those two things together also symbolise what it is that we want to achieve at Trajan. And that is that we have a real communication gap between what science is and I think what it's generally perceived to be. And one of the things that I want to see in our era of Trajan is to try and bridge that gap in a meaningful way, because science impacts everyone every day in ways that they just may not be aware of.
You touched on collaboration, and Trajan does a lot of that, and you do it very well, and you've had the Prime Minister cast his eye over what you're doing in that area. But can you talk a little bit about what collaboration is in your world?
One of the key things I think with collaboration is you've got to start with who. Who is it that you're collaborating with? One of the things I noticed today with so many different funding arrangements around, people start with how. And by that I mean, oh, there's this pot of money available, how shall we use it? And really I'm quite critical of that approach, because I think you start with who is it shall we collaborate with, because you've got to be able to work together. And then it's about, well, why would you collaborate with them? What's the purpose? What type of research are you intending to pursue? For what outcome? Then you think about what it is you're going to do, and then you look at how. And I can honestly say that even though some of our collaborative efforts do have great government support, they didn't start with the idea of government support. They started with the intent that we would work with these groups regardless of where the funding came from, and then the funding followed.
Yeah, and Trajan brings that commercial acuity that a researcher or a scientist doesn't have. And one of the visions I have in my head when we talk about your collaborations with various universities around Australia is what an absolute shame it is that a scientist could have this amazing idea that then gets filed away, gathering dust, without ever being realised and applied to human day-to-day life. So what you do with your team is actually take that idea and turn it into something that has commercial impact, but also human impact. But you had very humble beginnings, and people that are incredibly successful in business often do come from situations of hardship. So can you share with us a little bit about where you started? And
if you start from those sorts of situations, one thing you know for sure is you ain't going back. And so therefore you have a dogged determination almost a fear, if you like, to keep on running, to keep on succeeding, because you're strongly moving away from a scenario that you don't ever want to revisit.
I'm sure there's a lot of people watching who are business owners or, are looking for some inspiration. So sitting here, quite a way down your business journey, what advice would you give to people that are at the very beginning, at their own version of the kitchen table, deciding what to do?
Yeah. Well, the number one piece of advice, I should actually look in the camera and give that one piece of advice, is you've got to start with what is it that you're passionate about. That's rule number one. And if you have a chance, there's a great YouTube video with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs gets asked the same question and he gives the same answer, and he was absolutely right. You've got to start with what is it that you're passionate about. Don't start with, I want to be in business and I want to make money and I want to do this and I want to be a CEO in 10 years and all that sort of stuff. Start with what it is that you are passionate about. And that will be your energy, that will be your drive, that will see you through. And I think the second part of it is never give up. So early in the Trajan journey, one of the acquisitions, the largest one that we made, there were times where we thought it's not going to happen. I can tell you, I'm not friends with two of the big four banks in Australia because we got close to closing a couple of times and they just walked away. And there were people that were saying, Stephen's going to walk away. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. He's going to collapse.
Is that the ultimate motivator for you?
Yeah.
It would have been
Bring it
for me.
on.
Yeah.
Bring it on. And so I got to a point where I decided, no matter what, if we lose our house, if we're greatly in debt, if we have to go back and start all over again, no matter what, we are going to do this. I defy anyone to stop me. And, there's an expression about that if you're persistent, you will succeed. Up until that moment in my life, and boy, am I mad it took me that long to learn it. Up until that moment in my life, I thought, yeah, that's just a saying. It's not really true. It doesn't really happen that way. It's true. It is true. It is true that if you're passionate about something and you do not give up, you just persist, no matter what the obstacles are, then you're a long way down the path of realising your vision or your dream, whatever it may be, whichever field it may be in.
You're reminding me of a quote that I love that says, if you're asked, what do you do? The response should be whatever it takes.
Yep.
And I love that because
Yep.
it doesn't apply to your particular job. It's the vision that you have and, the passion that you're tapping into, and hard work.
Yep.
That's something that to me is so obvious. If you really want it, you will work hard. You will get up a little bit early. You'll juggle things around so
Yep.
you can do it. And I do that all the time. With my two little boys running a business, I make pretty tough decisions
Yep.
to make sure that I keep going on that journey. So yeah, hard work. There's no secret, right?
That's right. That's right. And taking care of number one.
Yes.
And there's another expression somewhere that says, if you want to take care of others, you've got to take care of yourself first. And to me, that's also, it is true that in terms of your own fitness, your own state of mind, you've got to make sure you don't lose sight of that.
What gets you out of bed in the morning, Stephen?
Well, I'm one of those fortunate people that I just wake up and bounce out of bed. What gets me out of bed in the morning is achievement. What will I achieve today? And when I travel, to me, it's a great example in that I can honestly say that each night before I go to bed, I think about, did I do good today? Did I teach anybody anything? Did I learn something? Did I have an impact on somebody or something? So that's my measure every day. Did I actually achieve something? And then the next morning I wake up and think, what am I going to achieve today? And I have to say, that's one of the reasons I love running in the morning, because my logic, crazy logic if you like, is that if I run first in the morning, I've achieved something. I've at least gone for a run.
That's true.
Right? So then the rest of the day is just upside from then on.
I heard someone say that they always make their bed, and the reason they do that is regardless of what happens after that point, they've done something.
Yes.
And I think that's a
Yes.
really great
Yes.
analogy too.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for your time, Stephen, for all those insights. Incredibly valuable, and I hope that we can have you back here on the couch in the future.
Well, thanks, Lisa. It's fun being
Thank
here.
you.
Love all the questions.
Thank you. Bye.